Hi, I here. This is a reading for the sign of Libra. We're going to do a Celtic crossbreed with the huge tarot deck, and what we see on the bottom of the deck is going to represent what you don't see coming. And once we get an idea of what the general message of this reading is going to be, we're going to pull 3 cards from the shadow deck to see what's going on in your subconscious and to see if there are any further clarifications we might need. So let's just see what happens. Okay, so let's see what we get today. So we're tuning in today to the sign of Libra. So if that is your sun, your moon, or your rising sign, or however else you choose today to identify with the sign of Libra, you can use that as a way of interpreting the messages that are coming through. And as always, if the details of these messages don't fit, that's okay. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Never try to force it. And if none of the details are really seeming to fit your life or your situation, that's okay. You can always check your other placements, or you can stick around and see what's going on in the world of other Libras. So let's see what messages we get today. So you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm still a little sick. My nose is now a little more stopped up, so I definitely have a different sort of tone to myself, but hopefully the message will come through easily enough. And as I've mentioned in the other readings, I'm putting the Thoth deck on sort of hold for this cycle. Just wanted to try something different and go back to the huge tarot deck again. We're still doing a Celtic cross, but returning to this, my oldest tarot deck that I own, my first one. And I just really kind of wanted to come back to this one and see what kind of messages come out. Just switch it up a little bit, but not too crazy of a switch up. All right, so let's see. What things can we think about today? Are there any things we should reflect upon? Are there warnings that we might need to see? Are there things that we should try to avoid? Things that we should try to not put our energy into? Or, on the flip side of that, are there things that we should try to put our energy into? Are there things that we should try to move towards that might make our lives a little happier or easier or whatever it is that we're really looking for? What messages can we receive today for those who are trying to tune in to the energy of Libra? Alright, so let's see what our Celtic cross has for us today. Okay, so here, in the present moment, we begin with the 5 of Swords again. This card will not stop showing up in these readings. Maybe it's just me, but I mean, I've been feeling a certain bit of a blockage lately, and I'm wondering if I'm not the only one. The fact that this particular card keeps popping up, it really feels like there's some kind of defeat that's really holding people back. I don't know if this is someone else that's holding you back, or if you are perhaps sort of showing some of your negative qualities towards someone else and holding them back, or maybe this is which I'm kind of getting the vibe, maybe this is pointed inward. Maybe you're sort of defeating yourself, and that's why there's a sort of blockage here. But there's this card. This is the 3rd reading I've done in this cycle that has started with a 5 of Swords. So there's definitely some sense of defeat here that we need to address. However that is manifesting in your life, I don't know, but it's certainly an interesting coincidence. So really think about what you do to obtain success in your life. Are you tearing other people down to get what you want? Are you tearing yourself down to get what you want? Because really think about how much of yourself you take away in any of those situations. You lose a little bit of yourself when you take down others, as well as taking losing a little bit of yourself when you hold yourself back. I mean, that one's in a little bit more of an obvious way, but really think about the things you do to try to get ahead and accomplish your goals, and maybe reflect upon the consequences of those. Okay, so let's see what we get that crosses it. A Page of Cups. Okay, that's a very different energy there. Um, yeah, I'm really feeling a sense of holding yourself back by trying to accomplish certain goals that you might think are proper goals, but are really hindering you from the true potential that you've got inside of yourself. There's something that you connect with emotionally that is probably the source of some great creativity in your life, and you're not letting it out because I think I don't know, for whatever reason, you must be blocking yourself with something. So I don't know, let's see what surrounds this. Three of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Ten of Swords, the Sun, Eight of Wands, Strength, Six of Wands, and the Four of Swords. Okay, let's see what comes out of this then. So, there's an interesting mix of, I mean, there's a lot of brightness here, but there's also some negativity as well. So as I said, with the Five of Swords, this is defeat. I'm getting the sense that this is probably inward pointing, and it's I feel like you are in a situation where you have certain expectations of yourself and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. With the Three of Pentacles in the recent past, I see you kind of coming from a history of sort of following what seems like a plan. And it's almost as if you're living your life for other people, in the sense that there's sort of a model of what the right thing to do is, and what you need to be doing with your time and yourself is following a certain sort of blueprint. And that there, right there in this picture, you there in that picture are trying to construct your own future. You're building your skill sets, and you're working on yourself, and you're doing the things you need to be successful. But I don't get the sense that it is your plan. I get the sense that this is something that was handed to you that you are following. And I think that might be why we have a Five of Swords, is that you are following this blueprint of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. And you're following this goal and trying to accomplish this. And then as these sort of pieces of yourself that don't quite fit into that mold sort of appear, this is what the Page of Cups is. These are sort of odd creative sparks that don't quite fit the mold of this blueprint. It's as if you're trying to sort of hammer those back out and push them away, and that's why the quote victory of the Five of Swords is really a self-defeat. I feel like you are working against yourself for the sake of trying to be successful. And this is, I think, what's leading to some deal of anxiety, which is down here, this Ten of Swords that we're feeling, which I tend to see I tend to see the Ten of Swords as a fairly positive card, although it is a painful card. To me, I really like to emphasize that its astrological correspondence is the Sun in Gemini. It is the exposure of weak points and then destroying those weak points so that you can move forward into something stronger. For me, it's got a vibe similar to the Tower, but the Tower is the universe sort of coming in and knocking things apart and saying, you're going to have to deal with this. The better thing about the Ten of Swords is that it to some degree, you are the one that is knocking this tower down. You're acknowledging these flaws or weak points, and rather than letting them stand and waiting for the tower to fall, you just walk up and say, I'm going to tap on this crack and let it all fall away so that everything can crumble and we can rebuild something that's better. And I think it's interesting that this is what's underneath the center here of this self-defeating process of trying to follow this mold of what your life is supposed to be like, attacking yourself on the mental plane with this Five of Swords of trying to suppress that Page of Cups that's trying to express some unique creativity. And this is a bad system, right? It's not a good model. It's not going to lead to joy or happiness. And so underneath all of this, there's this desire to not just have the Five of Swords be defeat for the sake of a winning at all cost, I'm going to follow the mode that I was given. No, we want five more swords to just say, blow this whole thing apart and let's just start fresh and let that page do what that page is going to do. Okay, so I think you're wanting to escape this vicious cycle, and down here you've got this drive that says that one day this is going to happen. I'm kind of neglecting here this Six of Pentacles. We'll come to that in a second. But above this is the sun. Again, emphasize, this is the sun in Gemini. We have the sun towering above our vertical axis here, really shining a light on a problem. And that problem is defeat. You're trapping yourself. You're stuck inside this cage that you need to break out of. And I think you'll be able to do that once you realize this pattern that you're stuck in. My eye just was drawn to this Eight of Wands here. This is fast movement. I always also like to emphasize there's a level of communication here. I think the sun that is sort of shining above this whole picture is pointing out this weak point, and suddenly there's this burst of sort of passionate energy that's going to inspire you, or maybe already is inspiring you to say, like, enough is enough. Let's be done with this. Let's let that Page of Cups be that Page of Cups. Okay, and I think this is going to come in a quick rush. Again, not a tower experience, but more of a self-inflicted tower experience. Like, you're going to walk out of the tower that you've just lined with dynamite, and then you're going to hit the ignition and blow the whole thing up, and then just let yourself be free to shine like the sun coming out of that. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. We're breaking this old mold, and I think it's also interesting here we're moving from a 3 to a 6, and here we've got a 5 to a 10. So there's a doubling here. It's as if the sun is emphasizing the problem of this 5 and saying, well, we got to really acknowledge this. It's really highlighting the problem to its extreme, to the point where you're ready to take movement and blow this thing to shreds, so that this sort of half-life that you're living, this 3 of Pentacles, like this is the model I was given, can expand into a 6 of Pentacles. And also it's important to note that the 6 follows the 5s. The 5s are usually cards of struggles that we have to overcome. So we overcome this particular mental struggle with a upgrade in our physical life by realizing that once we let go of this negative cycle, we move into something more positive, it's going to be a lot better. We're going to rebalance the scales. We're not just doing this for other people, we're doing it for ourselves. Right? And it's not just for ourselves. It's not like a selfish thing. That's why I think there's a scale here of balance of, we're going to take the things that were presented to us that showed us how to get where we're going, and but you're going to double that by putting yourself into it. You're going to let that uniqueness that Page of Cups brings to the table. I almost kind of wish this version of the page was a little bit more whimsical, like the Rider-Waite version of the Page of Cups. There's a fish popping out of his cup, which is a very goofy, silly thing. I think that sort of playfulness is what's really going to take this 3 to that 6 and really make things upgrade in your physical environment and really help you live a happier, more pleasurable life. But you can't do that until you break away the blockage. It's like the 6 is like flowing through, but there's like a filter that's like blocking it. And that's what the sun is exposing, those weak points, so that you can lift that gate up and let that water flow through. I guess I shouldn't say water, because there's actually, ironically, there's no water here on the table. Maybe that's kind of also the point, right? There's a flow that needs to happen here that's not. The page is the only card representing the suit of water, or the element of water here. There's an emotional blockage that's being stuck, that's coming from a stuckness of mental blockage. And once you just give in to that blockage and really look directly at it, like I want to emphasize the 5 to the 10. What I mean by that is the sun is taking our conscious focus, looking at that 5 of Swords directly and emphasizing the problem and looking at it honestly for all of its flaws, so that we can let go of it, right? This happens all the time when you're bothered by something and you want to deal with it. The best way to deal with it is to look directly at it, so that you're not trying to like convince yourself that it's something else. If you see the problem for what it is, then you can see exactly how to deal with the problem, and then you can put it to rest fair and square. And then you can upgrade from 3 to 6, get past that 5, bypass it entirely, right? let that page be that flow, that conduit from where you came from to where you want to go. And the six also has a connotation of a nostalgia quality as well. So I think when you let this flow of the Page of Cups get through, you get back in touch with a sort of childlike playfulness that you may have lost touch with. It's going to feel really good. And it's going to happen fast. Because once you open this floodgate, it's all going to come out. And then what do you know? You're going to step into your strength. That almost feels a little corny, but it's true, right? And again, emphasizing this idea of the sun, this brightness. This is the strength card. It's Leo, and Leo's associated with the sun. And so there's all of this light that's going to flow through once you really look at the problem for what it is and deal with it. And you'll be able to move forward and feel so much more free and creatively open, and just, it's going to feel better. It's going to be pain. It's like ripping a Band-Aid off, right? This is the sort of extreme version of ripping a Band-Aid off. Except I guess instead of ripping a Band-Aid off, we're putting the wound to rest. I don't know, maybe you're cauterizing it or something. I don't know. But yeah, you're going to step into your strength once you go through this process. But more so, a subtle meaning here with the strength card is it's about balancing your ferocity with your gentleness and having those in perfect harmony, right? We have this gentle woman who is trying to sort of, work with this wild beast that is the lion, and the lion could devour her, but he doesn't, because everything is balanced. They're working together. They're in communion. The gentleness and the ferocity are in perfect harmony, which again I think is emphasized. Look at the symmetry of the Six of Pentacles that you're moving into. You're going to come into your strength in the sense that you're going to be able to be confident and able to deal with whatever it is that upsets you and hurts you, by being sensitive to it, right? It's the idea is that you're going to get through your problem. I mean, yeah, we are sort of snuffing the problem out with the Ten of Swords, but we're not doing that with force. We're doing it by shining a light on it with the sun, looking at that problem, and then, maybe there's some level of just like you need to forgive yourself for making a certain mistake or something. But once you do that forgiveness process, you're going to feel a lot stronger and confident and ready to move forward. And I think it's kind of ironic that the challenge here is the Six of Wands. The challenge is victory, right? I don't know. That's kind of, I don't know. I find that funny because it seems like the idea here is we have to look at a problem directly so that we can let go of it. And so the challenge of the victory that we have here, which again, also the Six of Wands is a card associated with Leo. We have to point our conscious attention at a problem, and we want to rise above that problem. But I don't think it is a forceful problem. It's not. We're not trying to put the thing to rest by forcefully attacking it. We need to step into our strength and acknowledge the things that are good about ourselves. Right? I don't think this is about necessarily getting rid of something that's wrong with you so much as letting go of a negative block that makes you think that you're not good enough. That's why the Six of Wands is the challenge there. The victory card is the challenge because it's not about conquering something. As I said before, the Five of Swords, don't try to win by destroying something else. I mean, yeah, we're destroying something, but the thing we're destroying is a blockage. We're not destroying a thing. It's like the destruction that we're causing is almost more of a relaxation, if that makes some sense, right? Like if a muscle's tense, right, you've got a stiff muscle, you don't get rid of that stiffness by blowing the muscle up. You do things that help you relax that muscle so that it can be soft and tender again. And that's hard. It's challenging to do that. When something's really knotted up, the inclination is to try and work with it more, but that's just going to knot it up more. You have to relax and let it ease into a sort of peacefulness. And I think that's the gentleness and the forgiveness that's coming with this strength card. It's power through tenderness is the idea. And how do you get power through tenderness? You rest. And that's why we have a Four of Swords up there at the top. That is the card of, look at him. He's literally sleeping. He's putting his old negative thoughts to rest, and he's recovering from the wounds that he has received from battle. If you're following a mode of a lifestyle that you're trying to sort of break out of, it's not that you need to escape that lifestyle so much as you need to let go of the restrictions that lifestyle is putting upon you so that you can really truly live as your true self. And maybe you do need to walk away from some things, and maybe you do need to shake it up and change things. But the emphasis should not be on trying to break the old so much as let go of the blockages that prevent you from embracing the new. That's what's happening here. And the way to do that is to look at what it is that's not working, looking at the parts of yourself that don't feel like they're growing. And I think if you look at those with a softness and a tenderness and forgive yourself perhaps for not going in certain directions that you wish you had, or for not pursuing things that you wish you had, let go of that and take the step now to move forward into whatever it is that you really want to do. And that's how you'll reclaim your strength. I hope that made some sense. That's the vibe I'm getting from all this. So let's see what you don't see coming. Is the Hierophant. Interesting. Connecting with the divine in some way. There is an air of tradition here, and yeah, I mean, I get the vibe here that it really is not about entirely walking away from the model that you were pursuing before, but expanding it, looking at it in a more wide point of view rather than, like it's like you're on this path, and instead of necessarily going to a different path, maybe you can just expand the path that you're on, and that'll help you get a little bit more access to greater opportunities, allow you to express yourself creatively, get more in touch with your sensitive side that will empower you through your sensitivity, and then that's going to allow you to connect with your spiritual side or your higher self and get more in touch with the universe, the divine aspect of our world, that however you interpret that for yourself. So I think it's about looking inward and letting go the things that are keeping you stuck, and with this here, it's putting to rest those blockages by letting go of those negative things that have hurt you in the past and healing with them as you move forward. So let's see what the shadow deck has for us. All right, let's see what we got. I still can't believe we've gotten the Five of Swords as the first card for 3 readings in this cycle. Not even halfway through the cycle either. Okay. Seven of Wands, Temperance, and the Queen of Swords. So if this is what's going on in your headspace, yeah, with the Seven of Wands, I'm seeing a stubbornness of following old patterns. What the Temperance to me is identifying that you've got some kind of creative expansion that you want. You don't want to just do work. You want to create. You want to build. You want to do something that expresses your inner sort of child in a way that it's not doing. But there's some sort of like stubbornness to hold to a certain sort of mode that you need to break away from. And I think the Queen of Swords is the... And look at the way I threw these down. This one's kind of separate from the other two. I think that's the side of you that realizes what's going on here, and that's the part of you that wants to look at the problem directly, that wants to do the hard truths. The Queen of Swords, it hurts. It's painful, the things that she can share with us sometimes, but she will help us see things that are for our betterment. The queens are always trying to nurture in some form or fashion. They're trying to be something that promotes some level of growth and expansion for us. But the Queen of Swords in particular is going to show us hard truths in order for us to grow. So we have to address negative aspects of ourselves. And I think there's a part of you that realizes that this is the problem all along and you're not quite listening to it. So the Queen of Swords is that sort of... It's this call that you have to deal with this. You really need to look at this or it's just going to keep hurting. And almost like to the point where like it's almost like you're going to... It's like their thoughts are intentionally attacking themselves because they want to be acknowledged so that you can express the growth that you really need to do. So it doesn't feel good. It's like when you eat something that doesn't sit well with you and you sort of feel these pains afterwards. It's that kind of, and you realize from that pain, like, I probably shouldn't have had that. Maybe that was a little too spicy, or maybe that was something that just doesn't agree with my stomach, or something like that. And you learn a lesson through that pain of what to do. I think this is that manifesting in your mind, your thoughts saying you need to really think about what you're doing here, and maybe approach this from a better point of view. Okay, so we want to be creative, let go of the mode that you think is the right way to go, and just shine a light on the things that aren't working. And we get an Eight of Swords. Again, more blockage, mental blockage. I really think that your current state that you're, excuse me, I really feel like the current state that you're in is involving a lot of negative mental energy that the only way to deal with that negative mental energy is not to put more force behind it, because then those swords are just going to hurt worse. Acknowledge these painful truths, and then try to let go of that negativity and walk away from a cage that's not even really there. It's a cage that's there because you're limiting yourself rather than letting yourself express the things that are really inside of you. So get in touch with that gentle strength, and break open that cage and let that page do the things that page is going to do. And if he's got the power of the sun behind him, and he's got the creativity of the Page of Cups, if you have that kind of energy like stored inside of you, you've got all kinds of great things you can put in the world. You just have to let yourself be able to do those things. And with the Hierophant here, I think that's going to allow you to get back in touch with something sort of, I mean, maybe you won't phrase it this way, but something that almost feels spiritually enlightening for you, in a way that makes you feel really connected with your life and the universe itself. So, all right, that's all I have for you. I hope this was helpful, or that you at the very least enjoyed it. But yeah, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you have any feedback or comments or anything, please leave those down below. I love to hear from you guys. And if there's anyone you know that would benefit from this or any of my other readings, please feel free to share them as you see fit. But that is all I have for you today, Libra, and good luck with whatever this is, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.